Welcome to Trackside Northeast, featuring the best of Season 1. Over the past season, we've taken you deep behind the roars and revs of Northeast auto racing. From legendary short track drivers to hometown heroes, unveiling the stories, the speed, and the passion that fuels this region's racing community. In this special collection, we have been revisiting the most unforgettable moments, heart-stopping finishes, and of course, the inspiring tales of drivers, crews, and fans who live and breathe racing. Whether it's the tracks that are under the lights or the roar of the engines echoing throughout the stands, these are the most unforgettable moments that have defined our first season. Strap in, rev your engines, and get ready. This is Trackside Northeast, where every lap has a story. I was walking around all day Sunday and just hearing from every generation. You have these different generations, these different people who come in. I mean, you can look all up and down. I mean, there are racers who have been there, who hang out. There are ones who bring in their family, and the kids, most importantly. You see a lot of kids out there. How does it make you feel when you're riding around the Seacon and you get a chance to see the kids, cheering you on, or maybe looking at their iPad? You never know. But
well, actually, last week, 2 weeks ago, when I raced last, I was messaged on Facebook by a woman, and she said that her son says I'm her favorite racer, and he can't pronounce my name, so he just calls me Marshmallow. But I actually got together with them down at Hudson Speedway, where I went up to take a trip and do some racing, and I gave him a little Polaroid photograph of my car, and I got to meet the kid. He was probably like 5-6 years old, and it's just inspiring because the kids are going to be the future. If you can get them into racing and doing it the right way instead of going out on the street, get your license at 16 and start acting up, you're going to learn quick that, it's not a good thing to do. You want to get out there and do it legally. There's plenty of venues. If you go support your local short track, it'll stay open. So make sure you get down there and watch the show or be a part of it.
Yeah, and there's a lot of shows. I didn't even get a chance to mention the Crown Vic series. You got a brother by the name of Tyrese, I believe it is. Yeah, so
Yep.
so he's getting. So did you get him into that, or did he just kind of jump on the bandwagon?
A little bit. I mean, him and his family have been, his side of the family, his wife and their grandparents and such, they've been coming out to watch me for years. I mean, even before I started winning, they would come out and watch me lose in round one. We'd talk in the stands, and this Crown Vic series is a great entry-level series for just the common man to get into. Go pick up a Crown Vic from your local police auction or junkyard or anything, strip it down, and you can get into a real division where you turn multiple laps. The spectator drags is one lap, one shot, get out there and go. But with the Crown Vic division, you can feel just like Earnhardt, like I was saying, for a cheap budget, it's a good time. There's lots of different things you can choose from.
Now, tell me, how does it feel when you finally get out there and, we talk about family connections, all these things, but, blue collar side of things, this isn't your full-time job. So what else do you do besides this? I mean, obviously you got to work on the car a little bit. If it gets banged up, you got to make some modifications, but tell me a little bit about your life outside the track that kind of brings you back to it.
So I'm actually a private auto broker. So basically I sell cars for people. People are too busy, work a full-time job, don't have the patience to deal with people on Facebook Marketplace. So, even some of the guys from the track, we're all family there. We all got our own jobs, our own families and such. And they want to help out any way they can. If something's broken on my car, they want to help fix it. If they got a car they want to sell, they'll hire me to sell it because they know, it makes sense for them, save them some time and headaches, and keeps me on the track racing. So that's what I do.
Now, hey, there's always a connection, and we were talking about it earlier. So Mike Sewell, hope you're watching, friend of mine back at Nipmuc High School up in Upton, Massachusetts. I just found out that Carlito is from Uxbridge, Mass, which was kind of crazy how you always make that connection. And just, we talk about family connections, we talk about race connections and everything else. I mean, how does it feel when your girlfriend's out there singing the national anthem? You're like, I got to win this. Because I don't know, does she tell you like, hey, you got to win it or else, I'm taking the car and you're walking home?
Yeah, she definitely does. She's fully supportive of my racing passion. We watch the videos of me racing every time. I'll watch them in slow motion, figure out what I did wrong. One thing she tells me is close that door and hold that line, which means, when you get in front of somebody, you kind of want to like stay in front and, race your own race. You want to do it at your pace, pay attention to the other guy, but just zone out, race your race, and just have fun with it. I got a lot of friends and family who are supportive of my passion. No matter what your passion is, if it makes you happy, it's worth putting the time, money, and effort into.
Yeah, and it's one of those things too. It's, hey, it comes with a lot of money. I mean, you've probably done some work on your car and everything. What's more of the expensive side of things that you want to avoid outside of obviously the engine and a couple other things? But what's the worst thing that you've ever had, like that's ever broken on your car that you've had to fix and get it ready to get back on the track?
Oh man, I've been dealing with transmission issues. With an all-wheel drive car. You're launching it. I'm doing the 60 foot in 1.7 seconds, 0 to 60 in 3.7 seconds. That's like supercar speeds at times, so there's a lot of shock on the drivetrain. That's the difference between the spectator drags and something like, just normal circuit racing. Normal circuit racing, you get a rolling start. There's not much stress on the drivetrain. It's more stress on the engine. But when you're going from 0 to, flying out, it's a lot of stress on the drivetrain. So definitely transmissions is a big issue for me, but I've got a great team behind me. I work on my car when I can. I got, people from the track always trying to help me out. Mike Vincent, he used to race there. He'll help me out with anything. The guy I bought my car off of, funny enough, he has the same last name as me, Zach Mello. He always comes in to help out. I mean, we've done transmission swaps the day of race events and gone out there and just get after it.
Got to make sure, and that's the thing. You have to be surrounded by people that A, have the same desire with you, but B, are willing to put in the work, because it's no small change trying to put something together and get out there. But I actually want to call it, Jillian, let's bring up video 1 again and throw some up here. I want to switch gears and talk a little bit more about just like Seekonk and what it offers. I mean, they have the Crown Vic Series. You've got all your different divisions in racing, but the Thrill Show, we got to talk a little bit about that. Have you ever been involved in the Thrill Show, or what's kind of your connection there?
So the thrill shows, it's a mix of spectator drags and then what they call enduro racing, which is, anybody. I mean, if you can't do the spec drags or the Crown Vic Series enduros, you can just pick up any car from the junkyard or anywhere, strip it completely, and they put, 10, 20, 30 cars out on track, just regular cars, Honda Civics, anything's out there, kind of bumping and rubbing, real-time racing. There's a lot to offer. I've been in the thrill shows. I've actually tried the enduros once. It's a bit more scary than spectator drags, but I want to get my foot in the door to, graduating into something bigger like the Sportsman's, Legends Racing, There's something for everybody out there. It's truly a great time.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many divisions and so many things that you can get into if you want to hang out, if you want to just learn more about racing, if you want to get involved with maybe working on helping out Carlito with his car at any point in time. You just hop in and get it going. But I mean, Carlito, last question I really have for you is, it starts off kind of young. That's really, where we get it from. And, you get to that point where you go to the race, you get hooked on it. From somebody who kind of started up, where do you go from there? If somebody was interested to get into racing, I mean, I show up at the track and all of a sudden, I'm 5, 6, 7 years old and I completely fall in love with it. Where do you go from there? I mean, is it make the community connection, or is it, is there another path that you take?
So the good thing about short tracks around here like Seekonk Speedway is you can get a pit pass and you can actually get up close and personal with some of your favorite drivers, their cars, all sorts of things like that. So you can, the best thing to do is just come to events, meet people, talk to them. Everyone's always going to want to talk about their cars. It's it's their pride and joy. It's their passion. Just get out there and learn. There's a plethora of videos on the internet nowadays. We're truly blessed to be a part of this, generation that has all this technology at our disposal. You got to take advantage of it. You can meet and talk to people from thousands of miles away. I've had people help diagnose issues with my car from over the phone. You got to get out there and, experience it for yourself. If you're into cars, make friends with people who are into cars, and it's a great time, honestly. Get on out to Seekonk Speedway, support your local short track, because if you don't, it won't be there.
All right, back here again, Trackside Northeast. I do apologize. I'm not wearing my shirt and tie, but it's freezing out there this morning, which it's funny that we're talking about racing in November, and it's already chilly, and we're gearing up for the next season. You guys begin in May, I believe, right?
Yeah, late May typically. That's what it was last year. That's what it was this year. So
what does your off season look like right now? I mean, you got the championship, so you're drinking the apple juice out of the cup right now and enjoying, living high and enjoying your life. But what does the off season look for you right now?
I mean, I don't want to be negative, but it's not fun. I mean, I'd rather be at the racetrack. I am excited for the banquet. That's gonna be fun coming up the end of this month. And then right after that, we're going down to Southern National Motorsports Park in Wilson, North Carolina, which we also did last year. I'm looking forward to that. That's where I got my first Bandolero win after getting wrecked night one and then coming back and winning the second night. That was an amazing experience. But I'm excited to go back to that track because that's a really fun track. And the Thanksgiving Classic overall is just a great event.
Yeah, and a great memory, too. And you'll remember that years to come. When you get older, you'll go back there. When, in your later years, you'll be like, wow, this is where this is where that first win happened, and everything really goes from there.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I still look back on it, and I'm like, wow, I can't believe we actually did that.
Hey, that's a good thing, though, because life and expectations, if you expect to win every time, you will be dropped down to reality. I always go with the baseball terminology. It's not the greatest thing, too, but 1 for 3. You're failing 66, 67% of the time, you're still a Hall of Famer in that kind of sport. So you look at it a little different in racing and everything, but run me through a little bit when it comes to you got a crew chief, a team that works on your car, mechanic. How does that all work out?
I don't know if I don't really have a crew chief. I got a team that helps me through every race. My family, my grandparents, they get me to the race every Friday. And then I got a mechanic and his son who also races. They are absolutely amazing. They have helped me throughout this entire season. But he'll work on the car. His son will be spotter for me at tracks where you are allowed to have a spotter. Unfortunately, you can't have one at Seekonk. But yeah, no, they've been amazing, and they have helped me get to where we are today, and they have helped me become better. So that was always great.
And little wins, man. That's all it is. Little wins here and there, and you keep going. So what's the ultimate goal? We did talk about, what's the short-term goal? Obviously, you want to get to the Cup Series. You want to work your way up, and you want to become a NASCAR driver. But right now, if you're looking at, goals over the next few years, you're in high school right now?
Yeah.
So you're looking at, I don't know if you're looking at trade school after college, keep racing. What's kind of the shorter-term goals in the next 3 to 4 years you would like to see in your racing or just in life in general?
In terms of racing, I would like to get better in a legend car. I have test driven it once.
I've heard they're difficult to drive. I heard they're
They
very
are.
different style
They
of
are.
riding.
It is. It's very different from. I haven't really driven that much. I've driven a car that has a gas and a brake, so that I need to get used to a shifter, and that's something that I really am not good with. I've never had a stick shift. I tried to set one up with my PlayStation, but unfortunately, the shifter that I have does not work with my PlayStation. So what I'll do is I'll go on the game and I'll try to time it. I'll watch what the game does. I'll try to time when it shifts, and I'll try to get used to that change. But it's not easy, and I hear that once you know how to drive a legend car, you can drive anything. I've seen a lot of drivers in legends, move up to late models and other stuff, and I want to learn to drive that. I think it's going to really benefit me in terms of, anything that I go to.
Bigger car, more horsepower, different tread on the tires and everything. You learn all that as you go.
Yeah, absolutely. It's something that, I think, and I always hear, legends are the next big step. I've heard mixed things, but I've also heard that, it's probably one of the better steps to take in terms of moving up. So that's my next step, is just hone my skills on a legend, and hopefully we'll just go as far as we can from there.
All right, so tell me why you chose the number 28, or was that just given to you?
No, I chose a 28 because it's my birthday. My birthday's May 28th.
Oh, no way. I'm the 30th. That's awesome.
Oh, nice.
Gemini
that's cool.
Brothers. Gemini.
Yeah.
Is that what we are? I don't even know.
I don't know what we are.
I
think
we're
Gemini.
Geminis, yeah.
I don't pay attention to that stuff, so I wouldn't know.
So, hey, you're running through this year, and you made a huge jump from last year to this year. Tell me a little bit about what you learned in that time frame that got you to the next level.
Well, I learned a lot. Let me see where I should start. I learned about the track, and I learned about my car. That's one of the biggest things. You have to know your car, and I think that's something that, you have to get that relationship with whoever's working on it, because you got to tell whoever's working on it, how it feels, how you want it to feel. And I think that is something that really benefits a driver is when they're able to talk to their mechanic or their crew chief or whoever's working on the car, and they can make the car the way the driver wants it, and the driver can go out and drive it. And the driver also knows how to relay that information to the crew chief or the mechanic, whoever's taking care of it. But that's huge. I learned a lot about that. I learned a lot about the line on the track. Early in the season, I was making this mistake where I was going really low on the track, and I wasn't letting my car come up a lot. And that was because I was worried someone was going to come by on the inside line and take the spot, which did happen a few times. But I also got passed on the outside by making that mistake because I would come too low and the car would slide, and I'd go into like this drift. And that's what would kill my momentum, and I'd lose track position.
It's amazing what you can look at when you look at it, because normal people watching racing, they just think, oh, going around in circles, doing this thing. But you realize the different lines and what it's actually, is it the Gran Turismo movie? I forget. Is that the one where he's sitting in the simulator and he's like, why aren't you following the line?
Yeah.
And he says, because I'm trying to figure out which ones go faster, what goes better for the way I race and everything.
And I figured that out on Gran Turismo myself. There was this one track that I was going around, and the racing line was like all the way at the bottom of the track. But the turn was like a massive bank turn. And so I was like, if I ride this high line, I'm going to carry way more speed momentum out of it down the front stretch than if I go low. So
it's interesting.
That's something you can learn.
The smallest little changes. He gets you that extra couple milliseconds or an extra second on your lap, and that goes a long way.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It definitely helps. I have found that, NASCAR Heat 5, Gran Turismo, those have really helped me as a driver. And it's something that, sim racing is definitely newer. It's not like, again, like you said earlier, it's not really a traditional way of coming up through the ranks, going through the sport, but it is very helpful. And I think it's cool because you can go home, sit in your living room, sit in your basement, wherever you're going, you have that setup, and you can practice without being, outside at a track, and it still helps.
Yeah, it goes a long way, and technology is going to be a great benefit, especially for your generation in the future when it comes to just sports or anything in general. I mean, AI, that's a whole different conversation that we could get into. I'm sure you know more about it than I do at this point. Let's get right into this. Speedway 95. So Del Merritt, he's the longtime owner up there. He's been doing it for 57 years, but he has just sold it to Ricky Craven, which is huge because Ricky Craven, he's a Mainer, Northeast racer, racing the Cup Series all the way through. But, it's good to see the short, small tracks around here and little tracks in Northeast. Like, they're getting that national attention now. And, Ricky Craven going in. Now, Del, he's not going to be leaving, I don't think. I was reading an article on an old station I used to work with up there. He's not going to be leaving, but he's going to be sticking around. But Craven coming in, that's just going to build up other opportunities for short tracks around. I was meaning to ask you, have you been able to visit any of the short tracks with the wheel modified, Seekonk, Westboro, Thompson, or anything throughout your career yet?
I haven't been to Seekonk Speedway in quite a while. It was something I was planning to do this summer, and it just didn't end up happening because I think the modified race I was thinking about going to, and then it just passed, and I just wasn't able to.
It happens quick. Every weekend there's something going on there. I mean, they got Monster Trucks weekend. They got other events every week. There's always something going on over there.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I actually went to a friend's house a couple of weeks ago. He's in Rehoboth, and you could hear. I think it was a Saturday night. You could hear. all the way from
isn't
there,
that the best?
Oh, it's great. I mean, that's the thing in Daytona as well. Like.
You just hear, even in New Smyrna, right down the street, too, you can hear them going around the track. And have you ventured down there yet? That's a fun spot.
That is also something that I haven't done yet. I really want to go to Volusia Speedway, actually, this year, see, a lot of the sprint racing and stuff, because, I mean, a lot of those guys, Kyle Larson and all that, just love to do that, especially even during speed weeks or before speed weeks.
Yeah.
That's definitely something I really want to check out because I've never been to a dirt race. So
yeah, it'll be cool. So what out of all the series that you're interested in motorsports, which ones have you shot in photography, and what's the most difficult? I mean, you're looking at an object going 200 miles per hour around. It's pretty difficult if anyone's used a camera or videotape, and that's hard to capture. So walk me through that process of when you started, what you've learned over time throughout the different series, and what you've done with your photography. I keep calling it a career because now I'm going to push you into becoming a professional photographer, but your hobby being a photographer.
So, I mean, I started off, like I said earlier, in IMSA. That was like the first thing that I ever did, and that's kind of like a cool hybrid between, at least in Daytona, like, you know, it's an oval road course, so you can kind of photograph both from the side of the road part and then also like in the grandstand or anywhere. So it's like there's a lot of different aspects and different places that you can go and shoot on the road course. When it comes to NASCAR, at least the oval track, it's, I would say, a little bit more challenging because you're very restricted on like distance, especially with like a longer lens and all that. It's just a lot. I would just say it's a little bit harder to photograph, for example, the 500 or the 400 than it is maybe the Rolex, just because there's more variance in like how close you can get and stuff in the Rolex or other road course racing. Definitely over time, you know, I went from kind of just taking almost still pictures of the cars in like 2022 to learning to pan a little bit better, slow my shutter speed so you can get that like blurry movement kind of in the background, so you can really get a feel of like how fast the cars are going
and actually see the car, and it's not just like a blob, because you can see on what we have with these photos up here. I mean, you can tell, like, you know, some are starting right here. This is an action shot from the back. You can tell these cars are up to 180 miles an hour already going around the backstretch.
And that's the thing when talking about like some of the harder pictures to get is definitely those pan shots on the backstretch, because I mean they're so far away, you can only zoom in so much, even with like a larger lens, and so you can end up taking, you know, hundreds or thousands of pictures over a race. Rolex is pretty crazy because I probably take thousands and you have to go through them and all that. And that's not even a crazy number. I mean, there's some professional photographers that do like 10,000 plus photos in a race weekend. Like
you get those little like extra hard drives sitting around to like keep, because that's a lot of
photos. Honestly, I've been pretty good with that. I have one big one that I do use for a lot of things, but like cards are just getting bigger and better, and it's not as imperative that you like move it to a hard drive now as it might have been a few years ago when SD cards and CF Express cards were.
Well, plus we have the cloud, so you know you can just throw it up there and it can
I have a bunch of my Google Drive, but mostly just after they've been edited and everything, like the finalized picture. So
it's interesting that you say that, like, you know, the road courses or the ovals are more challenging than some of the road courses or so, because you would think like, oh, it's an oval, it's all in one set place, but as you mentioned, like, you know, the banks and how far it is and everything. So have you been able to, you know, have you upgraded your equipment throughout it? How's that process been going with learning all this?
Yeah, so I mentioned earlier that I started off with like that kit camera that my dad got years ago. A couple of years ago, I upgraded to the Canon R5, which is a very good camera. Lenses are very expensive, so instead of getting like the mirrorless lens, I got the DSLR lens and the adapter, which made it a lot cheaper. I bought them used. But yeah, I definitely upgraded a bit of my equipment, which has definitely helped a little bit because I was kind of very limited on what I could do with my old camera, and the new one, it does very much make it easier. You can just hold down that trigger and it just goes, and it's very clear, and
just shoot through and get anything you can. So how much editing does it go into after the fact of the photo? Because I mean, obviously, like, you know, there's certain things, and it's not so much editing to change the perspective of the photo, it's to touch up some things, like maybe some light out in the corner or something like that. It's like, how much editing goes into some of your final products?
So I guess it depends on like if the picture is just good or if I think that there's like something special about it. So for example, one of my pictures is from the Rolex 24. It's a Ferrari, and I kind of just made that one like a bit crazy. I kind of like went like a little artistic with it, put some crazy filters on it. That's more of a picture where I was like thinking more like the artistic side. And then there's a lot of pictures where, for example, I think you were talking about like the Chastain or Cindric like crash in the last lap.
You can just see Chastain. Everyone's coming around the edge, and you just see him turns, and I'm like, oh, I know where this is going.
Yeah, I was sad to see.
That's why I love him racing, though. I love his aggressiveness. It's great. As long as everyone stays safe out there, he's good.
Oh, absolutely. But like, so a picture like that, that's more or less just like I kind of keep it toned down because there's no reason to go crazy with a picture.
The image kind of speaks for itself.
Yeah, exactly.
So have you self-taught everything pretty much about what you do with photography, or have you like gone on you? Like, how have you done this?
So I guess it's a mix of both. YouTube can only do so much, honestly, especially like with like action photography or like motorsports photography, a lot of it is just you have to go out there, get a feel for it, get that muscle memory for like how to pan and yeah, I think it's a solid mix of both, I'd say. Yeah.
Well, because it's funny, John Watson. So when I showed up here, I've already had camera work experience with working in Maine. I worked over at Charter TV3 in Worcester, and John was like, if you want to work on like how to get used to tripods and everything, because things are different. He said, here's the easiest way to do it. Shoot the leaves coming down. When they're falling off the tree, shoot them and follow them. He goes, you'll start getting a feel for the camera. Shoot moving objects. And then you start getting a feel for what you like to shoot and how you look at it. Now, this is a question that's coming from me because my grandfather was a professional photographer. He unfortunately just passed away, but he taught me a lot going into the industry, and he was just a still photographer. But he always explained to me that, I don't know if you've heard this before, where it's like when you're taking the photo, you're in the lens, but the photo is here in your eyes. And what you see outside the lens is just an extra tool to use. So when you're taking a photo, do you specifically think about that as in like what you're seeing with your eyes, or is it just through the lens?
I guess it's a mix of both, and like it kind of depends on the picture that I'm aiming for. Like some of those crazy pans that I go for that are like really slow and takes 100 tries to get right. That's more or less just kind of, I would say, through the lens. You're kind of trying to become one with the camera or whatever.
Yeah.
But if it's more of a like situational thing, I feel like, especially like I'm at these races, I kind of want to still watch at the same time. You know what I mean?
You don't want to get lost in the
Oh
camera.
no,
Yeah.
you know, I'm a huge racing fan. I love, you know, last few laps of a super speedway race can be crazy, and to just be caught up in the camera,
It's the equivalent to Game 7. Whenever I see the last few laps, it's like this is Game 7.
Yeah, exactly.
Because anyone who's interested, you're watching that point, and you're like all eyes are on it. And the other thing I do love about NASCAR that I got to throw in here is you don't see so many people like this, like at a baseball games and everything, looking at their phone. Where it's like NASCAR, if like you're there, you look to the left, you look to the right, you got 3 to go, green, white checker, and you're looking around, and you're like, no one's on their phone. Maybe someone's taking a video, but like no one is on their phone. Everyone is paying attention to the racing.